note, it's going to say the word first, which is your first score that you received when you took it back in, do you remember what month you took your first test? The most recent one you just took. Was it in the fall? Did you take it in like September? September. Okay. So the first one is basically your September score. If it says something like 18 with a circle, this is the score that you got for English only, 18. And then what's going to be in the rectangle is how many questions you got right out of 75. Okay? So this person got 18 for their score for English, and they got 40 out of 75 correct. Does that make sense so far? Then the Post-it note is going to have a yield sign, which basically means I'm now providing you with a goal score based on your first administration. So this person got an 18. After today, we're going to get them as close to a 23 as possible, which means they now need 53 out of 75 questions correct. Does that make sense? So first administration, they got an 18, they got 40 right. Now your new goal is to get to a 23 and you need 53 correct. So what would be the difference? How much do I need to adjust to get to my goal score?
Miss, you can type the table onto the board.
Do you need it?
Yes, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so what's the difference here? How many questions do I need to adjust? 13. I'm just going to adjust it by approximately 13 after Miss Just teaches me all of the greatest strategies in the whole wide world today. Sound like a plan? Okay, so I'm going to give everybody their Post-it note. And on page 22, I want you to fill in what your original score was, what the number of questions you got correct was, what our new goal score is, and how many new questions you need to get correct. Any questions? Okay, is there a Nana? Donna, did I say it?
It's Nana.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to try that. Alejandra? Great. You're welcome. Is it Shamara?
Yeah.
Did I say it correctly? Excellent. And then Alexander? And Amy? Amy's not here today? Okay, and Marcos? Great. Okay. So, while you guys are focusing on filling in your goal score, let's just talk it through. Prior score is applicable. You're only going to put this circle where it says prior score. And then your practice test 1 goal is going to be this one. Practice test 1 goal. Number of questions needed is going to be this one.
Did you call Amy?
I did. It's Amy in the other room. Awesome. Thank you so much. And then I have a lot of students that haven't received a pink paper that's probably all from that staff, so just whenever.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay. So while we're waiting on the rest of the Post-it notes and filling in page 22, I'm going to give you a little background information about me, and we're going to play a quick game. So, my name is Miss Just, education for 10 years. I'm married, and I am a little bit over 2 months-ish here, okay? Thank you so much. So, if I get like, oh gosh, you know, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, so let's play a quick game. It's called 2 Truths and a Lie. So I'm going to tell you 3 statements, and I want you to figure out amongst your peers which ones are the truths, 2 of them, and which one is the lie. Are you ready? Okay. This is going to be my first baby. I hiked a 10,000-foot active volcano, and I was on a reality TV show. Okay, talk about it. First baby.
Why are you loud?
Active volcano, 10,000 feet high. Reality TV show.
She probably does have.
Okay, you think you got it? Yes, yes, yes? All right, if you think first baby is the lie, I want you to raise your hand. First baby's a lie, that was the truth. Okay, okay. If you think hiking a 10,000-foot volcano that's active, that could probably what? Explode is the lie. Raise your hand. Anybody? Okay. Or if you think reality TV show what, Miss Jess, you're lying. You're lying. Wrong, you guys. Have y'all heard of the show Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders making the team? Long time ago. Long time ago. Okay, so the official lie is this is actually kid number 4. I knew it. I
So what?
Oh my gosh, crazy.
You look way so.
I know. Well, I'm not, so thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Okay, so has everybody had a chance to at least get your King's Post-it note yet? Okay, so where it says prior score, on the prior score, if applicable, we're going to put this first circle. That was your first English administration. Okay, then your practice test 1 goal score. Practice test 1 goal score, we're going to put this one here. That is also the same for your practice test 2 goal score. We're going to keep the goal score the same for both, okay? And then when it says questions needed for that practice 1 exam, this is the number of questions needed. Okay? And it will probably help for you to calculate what that difference is so that you feel confident. Can you probably get 13 more questions correct after I give you some strategies? Probably so. I'm confident. Okay? Only 5? Well, you can do that, right? Does that build your confidence? Okay. So just by a show of thumbs up, has everybody had a chance to get their page 22 filled out with your score information?
I don't know how long it is.
Okay.
It's hard to see the marker on the board.
Is any particular color better, you think?
I would think maybe just black, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
And maybe.
Let's see. Okay, so for room number 2 over there, in case you have issues filling out page 22, first test where it says, first test if applicable, make sure to put your first circle score. This example would have been an 18. Then on practice test 1 goal score, you're going to fill in this one, your second circle. And then the number of questions needed, you put what's in your square. Okay, so you originally got this many right, now we're going to get this many right. We only need to change by a difference of a little bit. Cool. Okay, are we ready to dive in? You ready to expand your brain with some strategies that's going to definitely help you achieve this number here? Yes? Okay. Do me a huge favor. Let's go ahead and flip it open in your book. I believe it's page 34. Let's try page 34. And that should be the first page of our English. Okay. So until we get the document camera working, no problem. I'm just going to write up some things that I want you guys to make sure to highlight, okay? So on page 34 at the bottom, you should see a section that says 4 C's. These 4 C's are going to change your life in the English section of the ACT, okay? Take your highlighter. We're going to just highlight the bold section that says the 4 C's are, okay? 4 C's. The first one is complete. Your correct answer on the English exam will be a complete sentence every time. Is it going to be a sentence fragment? No way. That's not the correct answer. It's got to be a complete sentence that you can put a period on, okay? The second C is consistent. While you're reading the paragraph, if it said the shirt was blue at the beginning of the paragraph and then it says the shirt is orange, is that the best answer choice? No, it has to be consistent with what the paragraph has already said. Does that make sense? So far, complete sentences is the best answer. Consistent with the paragraph. The third C, it has to be clear in meaning. It's not going to tell you the sky was drizzly blue and gray and oh, the sun was so amazing. No. Clear, consistent, complete. But the last and most important one of the 4 C's is the word concise. What does concise mean? Anybody? Any ideas?
It explains it.
It explains it only with the amount of information necessary. Is it going to go on and blah, blah, blah? That might sound pretty, but does the ACT care if it sounds pretty?
No.
It wants short and sweet. What?
Short and sweet.
The shortest, sweetest answer is the best one every single time. So I want you to think back to the first time you took that English exam. Did you maybe pick something that was la 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 la? Maybe because you thought it was the right answer. Is that the right answer? No more. Short and sweet every time. So I want you to remember this word because when we go through some of the practice questions today, you're going to see, oh my gosh, that's what she means. Okay, I get it now. And what's that going to probably help us do? It's going to help us grow to that number that we have. Right? Okay, so let's practice a little bit. Look at the very next page where it says step 1. Before you even read the question, you can always look at the answer choices and figure out what the question is asking. Okay, so on the step 1, identify the topic. What is the only change that's happening in those answer choices? Comma, right? So it's asking me about punctuation. Cool. I need to know when is it appropriate to use a comma or when is it not. Okay, so I'm going to read the part of the paragraph and keep in mind the 4 C's. Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is highly acclaimed for her novels, short stories, and essays. Okay? So the first part, no change, says I need a comma after Adichie. That means I'm going to have to pause. Okay, so I'm going to read it very over precise. Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is highly acclaimed for her novels. Do I need to pause there?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to read it without it. Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is highly acclaimed for her novels. How does that one sound? Fine, right? Do I need the comma? So what am I going to do with no change? Cross it off, because I don't need it, right? And then letter B says, oh wait, no, you need to add a comma after author. Nigerian author, Chimamanda, do I need a comma there? No. Remember, I've already read it without. Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is highly acclaimed for her novels. Did I pause at all? So what do I do with B?
Cross it out.
Cross it out. Look at letter C. Anything special there?
There's no comma.
No commas, and did I even need anything anywhere? So C looks pretty good, or what about D? They put a comma after author, and do I need it?
No.
Cross it out. Do you see how sometimes the most simple, the shortest, sweetest, and most concise is actually the best answer, right? Okay, so let's now move down to step 3. We already did step 2, which is process of elimination, okay? Step 3, we're going to use the content to help us complete this answer. So, one thing I want you to know is that if it's a tense, if it's in the past, if it's in the present, if it's in the future, it has to stay consistent. That's one of my C's, right? So if you look at the very first part of my question, it says, after Adichie won. What tense is that? In the past, after Adichie won, but look at what's underlined. He will publish. What tense is that? Is that consistent? Oh, what does ACT tell me I need to do? Consistent, make it match. If I'm in the past, after, what answer choice tells me in the past or after? G and H. So what am I going to do with F and J? Cross them off, done, done, right? I've got a 50-50 chance. Are you feeling a lot better already? Now, Adichie won a MacArthur Genius Grant in 2008. She published a book, or she was published a book? She published a book, and even if you couldn't figure that one out, the most concise, the shortest and sweetest is which one? Letter G. You guys feel better now? Yeah? So do the 4 C's kind of help boost your confidence a little bit? Okay, so we want to match the tenses. That means be careful while you're reading your paragraph. Know if it's in the past, the present, or the future. Okay? While you're reading your paragraph, I want you to be aware. Does it tell you specific information? Now, we have 2 enemies on this test, right? The first enemy is time, because how much time do we have in the English test? So the English one, we technically have 45 minutes, okay? 45 minutes seems reasonable, but to answer how many questions? 75 questions. Oh my gosh. What does that tell you automatically? You better rush quick, right? Like you're gonna have to answer 2 or 3 questions a minute, and do you really have the ability to do that? Not really, okay? So here's where the 4 C's are gonna help you. You can automatically start process of elimination, right? Because you know if it's not a consistent, complete, concise, clear, it's gone, okay? But what you also know is sometimes your questions are gonna be too wordy. They're gonna be too long, or they're gonna say, according to the paragraph, which sentence needs to go in which order? Do you have time to answer a really, really hard question? So what should you do? You pick a letter of the day. It doesn't matter which one you pick. If you say B is my favorite today, you pick B every time you get to a question that you don't have time to answer, right? Because eventually, you're gonna save all of that time for the questions you can get right, and maybe some of those hard ones you might get right anyway because B was the right answer. We don't want to waste time on hard questions because you wasted a whole lot of time that you could have gotten easy questions right. Does that make sense? So do we have time in this 45 minutes to read the entire paragraph of English and then go back and answer the questions? No. You only have 45 minutes. You're going to read the whole paragraph, but you're going to stop every time you get to that question. And then you keep going and you stop and you answer the question. And you keep going and you stop and you say, that question's dumb. B. And you keep going, you stop, and you answer the question. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, if you do it in that way, are you going to remember what's consistent in the paragraph? Yeah, you're not skipping around, you're not reading and then going, oh, I don't remember what I just read. You're literally reading a small chunk, answering, small chunk, answering. You're going to remember to be consistent, clear, concise. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's keep going. I want to show you the difference between 3 it's. We have it's, we have it's, and we have it's. Okay, let's talk about this one. Is this appropriate? Can I use the it's without a contraction at some point in the English language?
No.
Okay, so it doesn't have to show a contraction form. What does this one really tell me here? It is. So if I said, it's sunny outside. What does that really mean?
It is sunny.
It is sunny. Does that make sense? But what if I said, it's hat? Whose hat? It's hat, right? Does it is hat make sense? So I don't need the apostrophe. But it's is showing possession. Are we okay so far? So is this appropriate to use if I'm saying it's somebody's hat?
Yes.
It's his hat, right? It's hat. What about this one? Have you ever seen an apostrophe at the end?
When it shows when there's more than one person, or
That's a good thought. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Yes. But for the word it's, I'm going to tell you this. It is on the ACT, but it's is not in the English language. You will not see an apostrophe at the very end of it's ever in your whole life, except on the ACT when they want to trick you. Okay? So if you see this one, what are you automatically going to do?
Cross it out.
Cross it off. But I will go back to this, the part that we were just explaining when we say something like a taxi's wheels, okay? If I say one taxi's wheels, I need an apostrophe here. One taxi's wheels, and let's talk about why. My rule is to always cover up anything after the apostrophe, okay? So if I cover up the apostrophe, how many taxis? One taxi's wheels, right? But what if I put my apostrophe at the end back here? My rule is to cover up anything after the apostrophe, right? How many taxis am I talking about now?
More than one.
How many?
A
More
lot.
than
A
one.
lot, like maybe two, right? Two taxis wheels, remember Miss Just rule, always cover up the apostrophe in anything after it. How many taxis? Two or more. But what if it was here?
One.
Only one. Does everybody see the difference? That is going to be on your ACT. So always use my rule, cover up the apostrophe and anything after it and figure out how many it's talking about. If it's telling you the wrong thing, if you know there's only one, but it put the apostrophe here, is that going to be the right answer?
No.
No. Okay, so don't get tricked. If it's only one, it can't be back here. But is that ever appropriate?
No.
Wrong. It's with an apostrophe at the end. Never, never, never. Are we okay so far? How do you like these little tiny tricks and tips? Feeling good? Okay. So let's keep going. In March 2017, a panel chose Adichie's book Americana as their selection. We need to think about who is the subject. So the very beginning, in March 2017, a panel. A panel. How many panels? One. Very good. One panel. A panel chose their selection. How many panels?
One.
One. Now if it said two panels chose their selection, does that sound good? Two panels chose their selection, but how many panels?
One.
One panel chose its selection. What am I automatically going to do with A and C? Done and gone, right? Because I'm only talking about one panel. But how do I know if it's B or D? Yes.
Because B says it with an apostrophe before the S, which means that means it is.
And does that make sense if I read it correctly?
No.
No.
So I'm going to say a panel chose Adichie's book Americana as it is selection. We know that's wrong. So what's the only answer choice left? Letter D. Do you feel so much better already? Like, is this almost easy to you now? Good, that's the way I want you to feel. And the best part about the English test, if anybody in here likes the idea of teaching, is that you literally get to be the teacher with the red pen, and you get to mark up all this dumb stuff and say, ooh, wrong, 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 wrong. Whoever wrote this ACT, wrong. Here's the right answer, right? Because the 4 C's are going to tell you the right answer every time. Or covering up the apostrophe is going to tell you the right answer every time. You feel better? Okay, very good. So let's keep going. Step number 5, don't fix what isn't broken. I'm going to tell you a statistic. About 33% of the time, no change is the right answer. Some of you feel like there's no way, they're trying to trick me, right? It can't be A. Like that, ooh, I don't know, right? But listen to your ear, because your ear is going to tell you if it's right or wrong. And if it's the most concise answer, then A really might be the best one. 33% of the time, it's right. Okay, so let's just look at this example. Among a generation of new writers, Adichie has emerged as one of the freshest, most original voices. Now look at my answer choices. They're changing the word emerged to been distinguished and deemed. Does that sound beautiful?
Yeah.
But what is it going against? Okay, letter B, or letter H, instead of emerged, it says, come on the scene as. Does that still make sense?
No.
Yeah, but is it the most concise?
No.
Or letter J, made a strong case to be called. Does it still make sense? But is it the most concise?
No.
So, because this is super, super important, the best answer choice is F. Do you feel better? Short and sweet. Every time. Okay? All right, now let's look at the top of page 39. I'm going to read you something that doesn't sound right, and I want you to fix it with me, okay? Number 1, Ryan play soccer.
No.
Ryan what?
Well,
Plays. Very good. We have to make the subject and the pronoun match. Okay? Mary and Allison practices every day.
no.
Practice.
Mary and Allison what?
Practice.
Practice. Very good. Number 3, next week, the team traveled to play its bitter rival.
Will travel.
Right. Next week tells me what?
It's
Future. I can't say something in the past if it's in the future because that's not consistent, right? Next week, the team will travel. Very good. And number 4, Shivani has became the star of the team. Become. Do you see how your ear is automatically going to tell you what's supposed to sound better? Okay, so use your ear really well whenever you take that practice exam. Okay, let's flip it real quick to 41. This is a list of irregular verbs, and if you want to put, like, if you want to fold your book down and give it a little doggy ear, this might be one to kind of read over before you take your test on Saturday, but you do not have to memorize it. Okay, this is just some information about why English is really silly sometimes. Would you agree that English is probably a really hard language to learn? Yeah, because of all this nonsense. How many of us want to have to memorize all of the ways that you're supposed to conjugate a bunch of irregular verbs? It's frustrating, okay? But it might do you some good to at least just look it over 1 or 2 times before Saturday. Sound like a plan?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, let's keep going. Very next page, 42, is pronouns. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to read it, and I want you to fix it with me. Number 1, the team nominated their goalie. The team, how many teams? One team. Now, are there a lot of people on that team? So does it make sense that maybe you would get it wrong if you used their because you're like, wait, the team has a lot of people, right? But does it say the people on the team? It says the team. How many is that? One team. So am I going to use the word there? When it's just one thing, what am I going to use?
The.
It's. It's every time. One thing, it's. Multiple things, there. Are we better on the matching and the staying consistent? Okay. Look at number 2. My friends and me took the train. Right? My friends and I love it. Number 3. Her and I worked on the group project together.
Isn't that she and I?
Yes, thank you, very good. She and I worked on the project together. We don't say her unless it's in the second half of the sentence. Just like in the previous one, number 2, we don't say me if it's in the first half of the sentence, we say I. So something to kind of remember is I is always in the front, pronouns are always in the back. Does that make it a little better? Sometimes English is frustrating. Okay, and then number 4, the crowd pushed Caesar and I onto the stage. Remember, we said I is only in the front of the sentence, right? If the crowd pushed Caesar and me goes in the back. Everybody feeling a little bit better? Very good. Okay. Look at the modifiers at the top of 43. No one took her warnings serious.
Seriously.
Very good. So even though that kind of sounds right, there's still something that's wrong about it. No one took her warning seriously is the correct and most appropriate way to say it. Okay? Number 2, Blizzard is a charmingly, energetically puppy.
Energetic.
Yeah, that just sounds horrible. Too many leaves, right? Charming, and he is a charmingly energetic puppy. Number 3, Farid is more busy than Wesley is. Farid is busier. Very good. And number 4, Laura was the beautifulest girl at prom. Most beautiful. Excellent. You guys are doing awesome. Okay, so that is the finalization of the introduction to the English test. How do you feel about the 4 C's? Can you yell some of them out for me?
Concise.
Concise, most important one.
Clear.
Consistent, clear, complete. Excellent. If you can remember those 4, you're already boosting your score immediately. You guys okay? Very good. How about my apostrophe? What's my rule with apostrophes?
Cover the apostrophe.
Cover it and anything after it, right? If you do that, then you know how many we're talking about. Cool? Okay. So let's turn to the very next page, page 46. This is where we're going to talk more about the word complete. So we've so far talked a lot about concise, the shortest and sweetest. Now it's time to talk about complete and the fact that no ACT answer is going to be an incomplete answer, okay? So let's take a look at all 4 of the first sentences at the top, and I want you to tell me, is it a complete sentence or incomplete? Number 1, Amanda throws strikes.
No.
Amanda is my subject. Throws is my verb. Throws what? Done. Is that complete? Yes. I have every part of my sentence, okay? Number 2, go Bears.
Incomplete.
It sounds like it's incomplete, but in the beginning, even though it's not spoken, there is an understood you. You go Bears, right? So do I technically have a subject, a you, and then a verb, and then a what, right? Okay, so it is complete even though it's like, it's got everything it pretty much needs. Okay, what about who won the game? Complete. And the players celebrated after they won the game. Right. Now let's look at the next 4 at the bottom. The batter who hit second, yeah, hit second what? Tell me, finish, hurry, right? Or number 2, since you bought the hot dogs, keep going, you know, we need to complete the sentence. Number 3, to get a batter out, incomplete. Or number 4, the team grabbed, what, right? Like you're gonna feel that way when you read the ACT, you're gonna be like, something about that is not finished, okay? So let's take a look and highlight the whole circle that says stop punctuation. There are 4 examples of stop, which means it is a complete sentence. If the sentence is complete, can I use a period?
Yes.
Yes. If the sentence is complete, can I use a semicolon?
Yes.
And here's what I'm going to show you. A period and a semicolon both have a period, right?
Yes.
A lot of times kids say, Miss Jess, I don't know which one the semicolon really tells me to do. Does it tell me to use a period or does it tell me to use a comma? What's at the top? Most important one. A semicolon is a period. It is what's on the top. Do you feel better now? So if I said the runner was, can I put a semicolon?
No.
No, because the semicolon tells me it's a period, it's complete, we're good. So that's what the ACT is going to do. It's going to put a semicolon where it shouldn't be because it's going to say, ooh, they don't know if the semicolon's a period or a comma. But what did I just tell you it was? Period. So if it doesn't fit, if it's not a complete sentence, do not use semicolon. Are we okay so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one is your question mark and then your exclamation mark. All of those mean the sentence has to be complete in order to use it. Okay, so let's kind of take a look at some examples. After the thumping music started, can I put a period there? No, because is that sentence complete? What do I do with A? Cross it out. In the same way, look at letter C. What am I going to do with C? Why? Right, because a semicolon is a what?
Period.
A period. And we already said it's not complete. I can't use it. A and C are gone. Do you already feel better about a 50-50 chance? Right? Okay, look at B. After the thumping music started, the bird began to dance. I don't need that pause. That's nonsense, right? Or the last one, after the thumping music started, the bird began to dance. Better? So how much easier is this test now?
Slightly easier.
I'll take it, I guess. I'll take it. Very good. Okay, so let's keep going. We're going to look at our go punctuation. I just talked about stop punctuation, right? I told you the things that are a period, a semicolon, an exclamation point, and a question mark mean the sentence has to be complete. But what if the sentence is incomplete? What if it said, like this one, actually the one that we just read. After the thumping music started, what can I use? A comma, right? Can I maybe use a regular colon? Like if I have a list, if I said, all the colors of the rainbow are, am I going to use this one or am I going to use this one?
The bottom one.
The bottom one, because that is not a complete sentence. All the colors of the rainbow are what? Right? If I were to use this one, it just says all the colors of the rainbow are. I'm done. Can't do that, right? But if I'm going to list something out, I can use this. Or if my sentence is incomplete, I can use this. Are we okay so far? So let's try some examples. Let's see. Actually, there's one more thing. Have you guys heard of fanboys? Yes. Okay, give me some examples. What do they stand for?
For,
and,
neon,
but, nor, yet. So, very good. What do you have to have if you're going to use the word fanboys? You've got to have a comma. So you can use this and any of fanboys, and that will also complete your sentence for you. You started incomplete, comma plus fanboys, it's completed. Very good. Okay? Then, what happens if you have extra information that you can take out of the sentence? What are you always supposed to do in the front and the back?
comma.
Comma on both, and that's your clue to say, ooh, I can take this out, but the sentence should still make sense, right? What happens if you take that out and the sentence does not make sense or it's incomplete? Then the ACT is tricky, right? It's not really unnecessary information. So let's try this example right here on page 50. Many people point to dog dancing competitions to argue that birds are not the only animals that can dance. Okay? Many people point to dog dancing competitions to argue that birds are not the only animals that can dance. Does that sound okay so far? So I'm going to leave no change just in case it's 33% of the time going to be correct, right? But look at letter B. We're going to start adding commas. I'm going to make the pause where the comma is, and I want you to tell me yes or no, okay? Many people point to dog dancing competitions to argue that birds are not the only animals that can dance. That doesn't make sense, and it's also telling me maybe there's extra information I can take out. Does it have a comma in the front and a comma in the back? So I'm going to take that out and read you the sentence and tell me again if this makes sense. Many people point to dog dancing competitions to argue that can dance. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So what am I going to do with letter B? Cross it out. I don't need it. Letter C only has one comma, so I'm going to pause where it says, many people point to dog dancing competitions to argue that birds are not the only animals that can dance. Do I need to stop or pause? No. What do I do with C? Cross it off. Or letter D, I have one more comma at the very end. Here we go. Many people point to dog dancing competitions to argue that birds are not the only animals that can dance. Don't need it. So what's my best answer choice? 33% of the time, right? So don't just cross off A because you're like, oh, it's tricky, it's not it. Just in case, keep it and make sure it sounds the best. All right, next one. Scientists now believe that the ability to mimic, which only some creatures are capable of acquiring, is necessary for an animal to keep a synchronized beat. The way that I read it, does it sound okay? What am I going to do with letter F? Cross it off. If it doesn't sound right, get rid of it, okay? Now, this does sound like an extra information piece that I might could take out, but the commas have to be in the right place, okay? So let's see if G puts the commas in the right place. Scientists now believe that the ability to mimic, which only some creatures are capable of acquiring, is necessary for an animal to keep a synchronized beat. I'm going to take out the extra information that G is saying and tell me if it makes sense, okay? Scientists now believe that the ability to mimic is necessary for an animal to keep a synchronized beat. That sounds right. I took the extra information out. G has the commas in the right place, so what do I think about G right now? Sounds good. Commas are in the right place, I can take the extra information out and the sentence still sounds complete. Cool? But look at letter H. Scientists now believe that the ability to mimic, which only, I'm gonna stop right there. Nonsense. It's too much, right? So if it's too much, cross it off. And then letter J doesn't give me any commas, and if you don't have enough commas, then it becomes a run-on sentence. So I'm gonna read it to you without any commas, and you tell me what you think. Scientists now believe that the ability to mimic, which only some creatures are capable of acquiring, is necessary for an animal to keep a synchronized beat. But what do I do with that one? Cross it off. You guys feel okay? Okay. Oh, let's look at the next one. I like it. The half stop. Notice on number 5, line 5, what punctuation does it have? And what does a semicolon always represent? Period. Period. Very good. So that means it has to be a complete sentence on the front side, and it has to be a complete sentence on the back for me to stop it with a period. Do you agree? So let's make sure. Is the front part of the sentence complete? Parrots don't respond well to genres with the least noticeable upbeat. What? The least noticeable upbeat music, right? Is that first part complete? So can I use the semicolon? What do I do with A? Cross it off. Very good. Okay, in the same respect, oh good, everything else is good. Parrots don't respond well to genres with the least noticeable upbeat waltzes and salsas. Is waltzes and salsa a list? Waltzes, salsa, tango.
Yes.
Ah, so is it kind of like a list? When did I say I was going to use something that had to do with a list?
Commas and.
If I'm listing things out, I can use this one or this one. Okay, so far, we have all of those options. Let's figure out which one makes the most sense. Upbeat, comma, waltzes, comma, and salsa. Do I need a comma if there's only 2 things in the list? So what am I going to do with letter B? Cross it off. I don't need it if there's only 2, but I do need it if there's 3 or more, okay? Letter C, upbeat, waltzes, comma, and salsa. Do I need a comma if there's only 2?
No.
Cross it off. Or letter D, can I use the colon, because it's a list, and then waltzes and salsa, no comma, because there's only 2 things. What do we think about letter D? Very good. You feeling better? Would that one have probably tricked you before we talked about it today?
Yes.
You'd be like, I don't even know when to use it, right? And why is there a comma? Ooh. Now we know. A list, you can use the colon, and you only need commas if there's 3 or more. We okay? Good. Okay, oh, this one's really important too. The last one on this page. Sometimes a colon and a dash can be interchangeable, okay? Sometimes a comma and a dash can be interchangeable. So what that means is, we talked about extra information needs to be surrounded by commas, right? Also, extra information can both be surrounded by 2 dashes. But is it ever going to give you a dash in the front and a comma at the end? No, because it's got to be consistent. It's going to be a dash in the front and a dash in the end, cool. Or it's going to be a comma in the front and a comma in the end, cool. It's got to be consistent, but they can be interchangeable as long as you have both on the sides that they need to be. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. A waltz is particularly difficult. It follows a 3-beat pattern. Okay, we said it could be a comma, and we also said it could be a colon. All right. A waltz is particularly difficult. It follows a 3-beat pattern. Can I do letter G? No, because I need something there, right? It's missing something. So I'm going to cross off G. What about letter H? A waltz is particularly difficult. It follows a 3-beat pattern. Is the first part of my sentence complete? A waltz is particularly difficult? Is the second part of my sentence complete? It follows a 3-beat pattern? So can I just use a comma? No. A comma is only giving me incompletes together. If it's two complete sentences, this is my stop punctuation here. The thing about a dash is, a dash can also be a semicolon. So dashes can be just a bunch of craziness. All right, so basically what I'm telling you is, if you check all of these answers and it's only a comma which is incorrect, or it's only a colon which is incorrect, and you need a stop punctuation, this can also be stop punctuation. Okay, let's look at the last one, letter J. A waltz is particularly difficult. It follows a 3-beat pattern. Silliness. Okay, so what's the only one that actually acts as a stop punctuation? The dash, which is already there, which is A. Are you okay with dashes? They're confusing. If you forget it, it's all right. There's only going to be 1 out of 75 that's going to ask you about a dash. Okay? It basically acts as everything. All right. We only have 3 minutes left. The next thing that we were going to talk about, we've already talked about. It is that kind of stuff. So I think you're going to be fine. I'm going to go ahead and give you your homework. Okay? So if you would, let me think. On the inside front cover, where you wrote your name, I want you to grab your pen and write this down. Okay, super important because we're going to grade your homework first thing on Thursday morning. First thing. If you forget and you come in on Thursday and you're like, oh my gosh, Alex, what did you put? Don't do that. Okay? Super, super important. So here we go. Homework. You're going to have 3 little small sections, okay? All right. English drill 1. English drill 1 is going to be on page 54. Oh, that's my phone, guys, sorry. English drill 1, page 54. Okay? This is super easy because it's basically the 4 C's. You okay? All right, the next one is going to be English drill 2. Okay, English drill 2 is going to be page 70. Also easy, comparing your tenses, comparing your subject if it's singular or plural, okay? And then the last one, it's going to be hard to see this one, I'll put it down here, is rhetorical skills. You can just abbreviate RET skills, rhetorical skills, which is page 86. 86. I'm going to put a star here. Rhetorical skills are the questions that you're probably going to say, I don't have time to answer that, letter B. You know what I mean? I still want you to practice them because if you can get better, awesome. But these are the ones that you're going to say, man, I don't have a lot of time for. Are we okay? So when do you need to have these completed by? Thursday morning before you come in. Okay, and what are you also going to bring with you Thursday morning? Yes, please don't forget. Okay, we don't have a whole lot of extra copies. And then what are you doing this Saturday? You're coming to see me. Yes, it's going to be so fun.
Wait, what time is that?
8 o'clock. And don't be late. Okay, and don't forget what are you bringing with you on Saturday? Right here, don't forget it. Even in the other room, and I'll come around and grab them. You guys are fine. By the way, I love y'all. I really do. I only need one time in my whole day. I love you. I'm so excited.
Where are we meeting on there?
No, probably just right back to Okay, kiddos, you got about 8 seconds left. Gather up what you need. Just know, love you so much. Have a wonderful day.